This is the Four-Man Rush. Of course, we have a bye week coming up, so we're not going to talk about the Denver game until the next podcast. So we're going to talk about the team. We'll talk about what we've seen in terms of the coaching staff, throughout the season. Pretty much give you a grade, kind of, sort of like coaching staff, the offense, the defense, particular players, especially young players have coming along, things of that nature. Yeah. So, I mean, we're stuck going to be a really, really detailed breakdown. Obviously, we still have games to play, but we're just going to give you our take on the team and how it's progressed up until this point. So, Larry, I know you want to talk about Joe, so let's hop on the coaching staff first. We'll go that route, man. Give us your thoughts on Rule and Snow and Brady, and then we'll get thoughts from the other fellas.
I mean, although the record shows that there's not much to be pleased about, I will say that I am sensing and seeing a change of culture that is beneficial for Carolina Panther fans and the organization as a whole. I was not a huge fan of Matt Rule in the hire, but I wasn't against it either. I just wanted to sit back and just see what was going to happen. And thus far, I am pleased with the direction that the organization is moving into. I'm not just a Joe Brady hater. I actually, being that I'm a trench guy, a lot of people have talked about, especially earlier in the season, we had a stretch of games where we weren't giving up sacks and things like that. Right. I didn't want to give too much credit to the offensive line and the guys on it, but it was to me, watching film, it was schematic. Like what we were begging Shula to do for years. Stop with the 5 and 7 drop back passes. Stop with the long developing plays. I think schematically, Joe Brady has done an excellent job of utilizing the targets and the receivers that we have, and he's finding a great way to make decisions easy for Teddy, and we're getting rid of the ball quick. So I give a lot of credit to that. And also, I mentioned earlier in the year that this was the smoothest I've seen the offense being ran in almost 20 years. It was smoother than any time that Cam has been with us. Honestly, more than when Delone was with us. Like, just the way we would being able to move the ball between the 20s. It was just so smooth. But I also took into account that opposing defenses didn't have film on us. So I think that's part of the explanation as to why we're seeing a regression in the offense and then the defense is catching up. Honestly, it's because the defense is learning how to play football in the NFL. We got a lot of rookies in there. Mm-hmm. And the offense is regressing because teams have film on us now. They're figuring out ways to stop us. So as far as Joe Brady goes, I love him from a schematic standpoint. But when it comes to clock management and protecting the lead, I think there's a lot of room for growth. Same thing with Phil Snow. Even though nobody likes this Baylor defense that he's running, for a long part of the year, we were dead last in the league in a lot of categories, and you just see steady improvement in that regard. And again, it just comes to learning and being in those situations. You got to learn how to protect the lead as well. So I just think even though Phil Snow is not the youngest guy in the world, it's still a young coaching staff as far as experience on this level. Some guys that I know personally that have coached in college, in the NFL, even high school, they'll tell you that the NFL that's top notch. There's no such thing as a terrible coach in the NFL. You just it's like playing chess. Who's the best chess player? And it's just this entire staff is having to learn how to get better, and the only way to learn is through experience. So I guess the season is lost. As far as evaluation goes, I know a lot of people are excited about Chase Blackburn, and honestly, we've seen a lot of bright spots in special teams this year. Mm-hmm. It just happens to be, in those close game situations, occasionally we have a mishap on special teams. So I want to hold him accountable too, because he, like anybody else, if there was a Hall of Fame for special teamers, Chase Blackburn is a Hall of Famer. He knows you have to be consistent on special teams. So I think what he's probably going to be preaching here out for the rest of the season is how to be consistent. Other than that, coaching staff as a whole, if I had to grade it, I'm going to give it a C. It's a lot to be excited about, but at the same time, it's a lot of room to see growth.
True that. True that. Will, what's your take on the coaching staff so far, bud?
Well, at the top with Matt Rule, I'm impressed with what he's been able to do this year given the circumstances. I mean, he hadn't gotten to see his players until August. Coming into the season, I thought this was one of the most thin rosters in the NFL, lacked talent at a lot of positions. I mean, you can cherry pick specific guys that are very talented, but overall, from top to bottom, this just isn't a good roster. I think Matt Rule's kind of overachieved early, despite that lack of depth and talent on this roster, to be able to come out, win 4 games when a lot of people were expecting, this to be a 2 to 3 win team, and get these guys motivated and come out and play above expectations and compete with teams that are a lot better than them. I think he deserves credit in that regard. So I'm overall, I'm grading him on a curve this year because I don't think the roster is fully built and complete yet. Joe Brady, the thing with him, I think, is still an adjustment. In LSU, he had better athletes than the teams he was playing against. He doesn't have that in the NFL now. So I think that's an adjustment for him because he could be a lot more aggressive in college because he's saying your DB can't cover Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and my guys, so I can go be aggressive even though I got a lead. I don't have to play the ball control game and run the clock out because you can't stop us no matter what we do. That's not the case in the NFL. I mean, you saw a couple of times we tried to attack with DJ Moore downfield, but the Vikings' second, third street corners were on him like glue right in his pocket. Because in the NFL, everybody's good. You're not going to be able to walk over guys that easily. So I think that's an adjustment I want to see on his end. I just think he has to be more balanced with his attack and run the ball when it's working and not be, like Larry said, egotistical and trying to throw the ball when you can milk the clock and make it easier for your defense. I think the offense has been real inconsistent. Like in the preseason, I thought one article in The Athletic described us the best. If we were a 7-on-7 team, we'd be a very good offense. But since the trenches matter and you have offensive lines, it's going to be an inconsistent up and down year. Now, I'm not talking about the last game. I thought they were solid then, but I just think throughout the season they've been up and down, and they cost us some games, like not being able to get a yard against the Raiders starting the season 0-1. They couldn't get enough push there, giving up that sack on their stunts against New Orleans and Chicago. So I just thought the inconsistent offensive line play has kind of held this offense back. McCaffrey's loss was big. You could tell when he's in the game, he's the centerpiece of the offense. Everything revolves around him. He's still getting his 25 touches a game, makes a lot of plays there. So I think that's kind of a big reason we've struggled. Nothing against Mike Davis. I thought he's played very well in relief, but there's only one McCaffrey. I mean, it's just hard to replace a guy like that. Wide receivers, I thought, they're talented guys. I still think, it's hard to explain because, they're big names. They make explosive plays. You see them do this, and that. But, when we need them to step up, you see Robbie Anderson and DJ drop balls in key situations throughout the year. They don't consistently beat man press coverage one-on-one like you want from a true number one receiver. I mean, I think Curtis Samuel's been pretty reliable on third down, but part of it, we don't really attack vertically because issues with the offensive line as well. But I think I'd like to see a lot more of one wide receivers just be that guy that we can go to on third down that consistently, and I think that'll help in the red zone too. You see these other teams in the red zone, you got Michael Thomas or somebody, they're covered one-on-one. You could throw the ball to them. They can go up and win those contested catch type situations. We don't really have that at the wide receiver position. I think it's an offense built from 20 to 20 when we have to go down from the 20 to the goal line, knock people off the ball, throw balls in the tight windows and make contested catches. We don't have that. And I think that's why you're seeing a poor red zone offense this year. So I still think there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that side of the ball, despite having great individual talent scattered throughout the unit. Defensively, I think Phil Snow's done a pretty good job considering what he's working with. I think he has a very weak linebacking core, very weak secondary, and has still been able to, put us in position to win. We've lost games with the ball in our hands. several times. I just think, we saw the last couple of weeks we played some lesser teams. You see how much more competitive they are when we're not playing against a Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady's and guys like that. When you play teams more on their level, they look a lot better. So I think that's something we can build on there. I think what I'm excited about the defense is that it's the rookies and second-year players that's carrying the team and setting the tone. It's Brian Burns, Derek Brown, it's Jeremy Chin. These guys are going to be the core pieces for years to come. So that's why I don't get too caught up on what Whitehead and Weatherly and those other guys are doing, because I doubt they're even going to be on the roster in 3-4 years from now. So overall, I'll give the coaching staff a B-. I think they've overachieved with what they've had. Still left a lot to be desired, but a lot of room to improve as well. But I think at least they're giving us something to build on and look forward to next year.
True that, man. True that. Great stuff. Kev.
Well, for me, my observations is I like the fact that started to talk with Coach Matt Rule, one aspect that I've noticed that he's been very consistent in is that he's a fair man, but he's not going to tolerate the dumb shit. One thing I've learned is that, with him trying to, establish a culture that, you do something stupid or you do something that's inconsistent with what they're playing, and you're not going to be kept around here. From the practice squad player that got caught, in the club during COVID, bounced his ass up out of here. I can't think of his name at this moment. Eli Apple, was cleared to play medically, but he was still trying to drag it out, and the staff came to Coach Rule and told him, well, he's healthy, he's clear, he's ready to go. And Coach Rule went up there and asked him, you ready to practice? And he was like, nah, I'm still not feeling it. And a couple hours later, he cut from the team. When Schofield, got to start the first couple games and messed up and was just playing horrible, it took until Daly got hurt a couple of games ago for him to even see the field again. So what I'm noticing with Coach Rule is that it's consistency. Hell, even after a very teeny reemergence of Greg Little, he started back playing like shit, and he slowly went down to no snaps offensively to just a couple of special teams. Now his ass has been deactivated. He's not even active player. So wow. I like the fact that, Matt Rule doesn't take, doesn't care about your draft status, which you was in that, if your performance on and off the field, let me say that, if it's not towards the goals that he sets for, reestablishing this culture here, then you're not going to be around. And that's what I've been wanting to see. I feel like one of the biggest things about Rivera is that he kept players around more off of loyalty. He was a player in this league, so it's that loyalty, that he had. But, from that aspect, that point of view, that's what I like about Matt Rule. What I don't like, and I think it's partial. I think it's partial adjustment from college to the NFL, but I also think it's something that as a fan, I feel like should be an easy fix. It's just time management. I'm not sure where the blame goes with Matt Rule, but as the man running the ship, as the $60 million man, potentially up to $70 million, you need to find out what is the delay that's causing us to burn the hell up out these timeouts on same drives.
That'd be crazy.
I'd just be like, damn, what's been practiced all week? I know that Teddy mentioned something about, it was said that Teddy post-game threw the coaching staff under the bus a little bit or something to that effect. I didn't hear that part, but, if one of you fellas want to elaborate on it, you can. But I just really need for them to get this time management thing figured the fuck out during this bye week. I'm not necessarily saying don't use no timeouts until the 2-minute warning. I'm not saying that, but, timeouts for plays not being in and not being, ready to snap. Like, we need to be at that line of scrimmage with like 17, 15 seconds getting all the checks, audibles, and ready to go. Why is we, burning timeouts like this? And, it's just mind boggling to me. It's something that really bothers me from that aspect. Now, as far as, the coordinators, Joe Brady, Matt, Phil Snow and Chase Blackburn, I mean, Larry and Will have already touched on them, so I don't want to, regurgitate, because I pretty much am in agreement with what they, said, pros and cons about both. Because I do realize that, the roster is still being built, so they are playing with the incomplete deck. But I think we are seeing that the best players or the most reliable, consistent players are the young players, and that's good. That's what you want to see when you're doing a rebuild. You want to see that it's the youth movement is the one that's slowly turning the tide here, and that's something that I feel like is something good to look forward to with this team. Far as like the actual players, biggest disappointments for me so far, I would definitely have to say is the veterans that's on this team. Whether they had control over it or not, it's a disappointment that Kawan Short is not playing this season. Back-to-back seasons would have showed that that's a disappointment. I know that injuries happen and it can't, but that by far was just something, because I would love to have seen how him and Derek Brown, would have worked together on that aspect. Another disappointment is even though it has been better played lately, but still, Trey Boston still Trey Boston. That's that aspect of it. Let me flip it over to the offense side real quick. Disappointments for me offensively. I'm gonna call him out. Ian Thomas. You sat behind one of the better tight ends in that NFL ever seen. Had no competition for the number one spot, and you pretty much have been related to, not only Manhurts, starting and getting more slots, but the other guy, number 86, I can't think of his name, Thompson, if I'm not mistaken, number 86. Like, I'm starting to see him getting more and more snaps. Like Ian, what's up, bro? Why are you not dominating the snap count? What's going on during the week that's allowing for you to not be looked at as the guy? So that's where my disappointments are at with this team in my evaluation. Overall, if I had to give it a grade, I'm gonna give it a C minus, and it's not because I had huge expectations, disappointed, but you are what your records say you are, and with 4-8, it's hard for me to give you a B, especially when we've had so many games where we could have potentially won, but we learned that winning is not easy in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So for me, so far, I give this team a C minus, but trending in the right direction.
That's fair. I'm not gonna reiterate what you guys already said, but yeah, I give them a C. I give them a flat out C. I like the motivation and the relationship that Matt Rule seems to have, even with the veterans and obviously the younger players. I enjoy that. You could tell those guys like to go out there and fly around and make things happen. It's just not on a consistent basis yet, but I give them a C. And let's talk about something real quick, man. Teddy Bridgewater, is he what we need going forward? Anybody like to take that?
Yeah, I'll jump on that first. But before I get on to Teddy, I just want to point out something that I pointed out to you guys, off season. Mm-hmm. We're at a league high as far as bad time management, bad clock management, and it's because there's an influx of new college coaches coming into a league, and it's a lot of young coaches. So we're just experiencing. We didn't have to deal with this with Ron because, we did. Remember in the beginning, his first few years, clock management was terrible. I think that's just something that you deal with young coaches, new coaches, and that's just something that we got to eat. That's something that we're living in right now.
Fair enough.
But I'll let you guys touch on Teddy. I'm going to save my Teddy comments for last because I think mine are a little bit different than everybody else's.
Word. All right. Will, what's your thoughts on Teddy, man? Is he what we need going forward or not?
I try not to get caught up on 2, 3, 4 years from now because honestly, we don't know who on the roster going to be here that long. Most NFL contracts in general are less than 5 years. So, I mean, right now, I mean, as of today, I mean, it's his job to lose. I mean, the thing is, you know, he controls his last 4 games. It's funny because he kind of controls his job situation for next year. If he can win 3 of these games and push us down the draft board, we'll be out of range to draft a quarterback, and he'll probably be secure for another year or 2. If we stink it up and lose the next 4 games, you know, we'll probably be our hand will be forced in that top 3 or 5. You're gonna have a great talent on the board like a Trey Lance or Zach Wilson or somebody like that, and you won't, you know, you're kind of forced to take them right there because you can't pass on guys like that with that kind of talent. So, I mean, I just think it's a continuing evaluation throughout the year. You know, I'm not going to get caught up on 1 or 2 plays or 1 or 2 games. I think, like we said with the coaching staff, I mean, it's a rebuilding year, a new roster, a lot of the moving pieces, things going on that, you know, it's not really a clean evaluation on anybody this year, in my opinion. But I think in order for him to at least buy himself another year or 2, I mean, he's got to come through and make some plays these last couple of weeks and win some games. Because I do believe, you know, whether we want it or not, if we're in the top 5 or 6, I mean, we're going to probably draft one of the quarterbacks that's on the board. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a continuous evaluation. I don't know what's going to happen 3, 4, 5 years from now. You know, I try not to think that far ahead, but as of right now, I just think it's his job to lose, and he controls his own destiny.
Great point. That's a great point. Kev.
For me, Teddy Bridgewater, I try not to let myself get too emotional with this because I really have grown to really like Teddy, on and off the field. So I just want to make sure I keep it in perspective. But I want to go on the side of saying I want this team to do something that they've never done, and that's to build around your quarterback that is fundamentally and technically sound. I want to see that. As a Panther fan, starting out, didn't see that with Kerry Collins, Steve Berline. Jake made it work with what he had. I mean, don't get me wrong, he had pieces with Smitty, Muhammad, Stephen A., things like that. With Cam, we felt like that his athletic talent and abilities would supersede, overcoming anything. But just from an offensive point of view, I would love for this franchise to make a commitment, this season and even the next, even in this 3rd season. I know it's an option year, solidifying that offensive line, adding a couple more playmakers to the wide receiver core, and definitely at tight end. And I want to really see what it's like for a quarterback to have 3, 4, 5 seconds, on a drop back pass. Our fans are so critical to say they don't see enough deep balls. Well, you got to get the routes time to develop, and our line just doesn't win enough consistently to do that. So for me, I want to say that I think Teddy Bridgewater definitely is the quarterback of the future. I know that he's moving to the age of 30, but as we'll see that, if you're healthy and play well, and I like to believe that he is, that 30 is the new 25 per se for quarterbacks. If you take care of yourself, eat right, train, and just have good luck with your health. But yeah, I definitely think Teddy's is a quarterback worth this franchise investing, building around moving forward.
Bet. Okay. All right, Larry. Hold on, homeboy. You muted, bro. Say again.
I think Teddy is really just a non-conversation. I like the guy, but I also understand exactly what he was brought here to be. I understand when he's getting paid. Personally, I just feel like for $2 million more, you probably should have just let Cam just play out his contract. And we want to try to move on and get a quarterback. And the reason why I say Teddy's a non-factor because I don't think it matters who's behind center for us to be successful. And the reason I bring that up is because so much talk is about us going to get a quarterback in this next draft. It's not going to happen if you don't build the trenches right. We saw we destroyed an MVP quarterback's career because you never built around him properly. And you can only expect Teddy to do but so much if you don't protect him the way you're supposed to. I'm not talking about last game. I'm just talking about the year as a whole. Last game, yeah, we can point at Teddy. He didn't make the right throw or he had a bad game. He started out 1 for 9. There were other times in the season where he was capable of making the right throw and he was making the right decisions. He just didn't have enough time to execute. So, I have nothing against Teddy. He had a bad game. I don't write him off for that. He's also had some very good games where we were praising him. I just think he is what he is. He's here to help bridge the gap from the rebuild to a championship contender. You've already invested in him, so I'd rather just see him. If you ask me if I'm confident in him, I'm confident that he can fulfill a whole 3-year contract and help us win games. So until that's over, I'm not even trying to talk about quarterbacks. My focus is, what we going to do to protect this man blindside? It don't matter who's back there to me. So I'm not a quarterback guy, man. I'll study the trenches. I'm just giving my little feedback on that. I don't care who's back there. I don't care how people feel about Teddy Bridgewater. When I see the Teddy Bridgewater comments, I keep on scrolling, bro, because it's a non-factor. It's not important right now. We got to build these trenches. But if nobody can watch film and see that the offensive line is the biggest factor, whether we win or lose, I don't have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, on the post game, we mentioned what the hell? The post game we talked about the trenches obviously and getting that shored up for consistency. We have one of our fans were mentioning while we talking about offensive line when we didn't have a sack.
They gave up 0 sacks.
Yeah, that's one game, folks. Look at the rest of the season and tell me that you're comfortable with the offensive line that we have. You'd be lying to yourself.
And that's one game where you got to mention, Tim, that you got to go back to the scheme. Like I said about Joe Brady, he finds ways to help Teddy get rid of the ball fast. You can't just see 0 sacks in the column and think you have an all-pro offensive line. We don't have that. When there's certain things we see weaknesses on the defense that we're facing, we can't exploit those things because we don't have the right guys on the offensive line to establish dominance. So, like I said, it don't matter who quarterback is, bro. We got to get this offensive line the way I want it to be. Like, I'm the coach. To be honest with you.
Hey, Will, you wanted to say something? No, shut your mute off. Okay. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say to follow up on what Larry was speaking on, I just pulled it up here. When we was talking about, protecting, Teddy Bridgewater, when I'm looking at, his sacks for the year, we got 3 games where he wasn't sacked. We got 3 games where he was only sacked once, 2 games where he was sacked twice, and then a 3-piece, a 4-piece, and a 5-piece. So overall, a lot of that credit has to go to the scheme that's been used to Joe Brady. Mm-hmm. I mean, fuck it. Let me give my man some love here because we need to resign him. Taylor Moton, he's in the NFL right now. He only has given up 12 pressures all year. That's his. I know that's not his blind side, so I don't want people to start taking. Well, put him over to the left. No, leave that man right where the hell he is, because right tackle has quickly come up to be just as important as the left side. In my opinion, but that's a lot of that has to go to the scheme. Quick release. I don't know if we really moved the pocket that much. Rollouts and things of that nature, but yeah, that the trenches just leaves a lot to be desired because our running backs are working way too hard to get the little bit of yards that they get. Even when McCaffrey, the few times he has been healthy and played, and yeah, it do look like he, has produced, but it's like, can we get them to the second level sometime untouched? You know what I'm saying? Like, when the last time you can say you seen us do a 7-step drop back? You know, we're already lined up in pistol or shotgun a large majority of the time in our formations anyway.
Yeah,
You know,
you're not coming out from under center and getting 7.
nah, bro. I'll be honest.
Ain't happening.
I'd be hard pressed to say if I was to stay up all night and watch all 22 of all passing plays, I bet I wouldn't find 5 plays where we had a 7-step drop back. So
slant.
yeah, so yeah, shout out to Brady with the scheme, and we got wide receivers that know how to get yak. So that's just how I see it.
Word. Man, so yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Kevin. I mean, I like Teddy, man. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously he's an accurate quarterback, something we haven't seen in years. No shots at Cam, it's just 2 different quarterbacks. But yeah, I see what you guys are saying. You know, we have what we have, and we have to deal with what we got. But if we don't have an offensive line, we got a stud in the backfield behind that quarterback that's going to be the focal point of this offense going forward, regardless of who the quarterback is. You know, Christian McCaffrey's good. That's our offense, and you know it's obvious that we can't do too much without him. I mean, Mike Davis is playing his ass off, but he's no Christian McCaffrey. Even that little bit of that Christian, you know, was playing when he came back for that little bit. You know, he was carrying the ball, man. He just hits the hole differently, bro. He just hits that hole just differently. You know, Mike likes to dance a little too much, but you know, if we don't get an offensive line and in front of these guys, regardless, it's not gonna pan out very well, regardless, man. Unfortunately, but I see what you're saying, Will, about if we have that talent on the board, we got to go for that. If we have a Lance in front of us, we got to. But man, hopefully we'll address the offensive line if that's the case. Jesus Christ, man. Man, I hate for us to waste talent like DJ and Christian and all these guys, man, just because we don't build around them correctly. I would hate for that to happen. I really would. But
well, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I know another thing people are talking about is, okay, our priority needs to be cornerback because we don't have shut down corners. At one point in the season, we were ranked 7th in pass defense. You gotta understand that this secondary is young. What cornerback do we have on our roster with more than 5 years of experience? Like, just like you guys used to tell me, oh, give James Bradbury time to develop. Give him to year 4. Give him to year 5. Why we don't get the same energy with Troy Pride and Dante Jackson? I don't get it. Why they don't get the same energy? We've been investing into the defensive backfield the past couple of seasons. So when are we going to do what I want to do and let's jump on this offensive line? Right. Guess what happened when you addressed the offensive line early? You used a 2nd round pick on Taylor Moton, right? Everybody wants to re-sign him, right? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's what happens when you address it early. You got a solid piece on your offensive line that right now everybody's desperate to secure. It's time to go back in that direction, bro. We gotta get some offensive line pieces, man. I'm not going to be satisfied. It's going to be hard for me to continue to watch football if it's not addressed properly.
And speaking of secondary, Will, what do you think about our young corners, man? Are we in a good place with these guys? Troy and hell, I can't remember the most of them.
I mean, granted, he's still a young player, so we don't know how he's going to develop next year and then year 3. But what I've seen so far, you know, I don't think he's shown anybody anything that would make you comfortable with him going into camp as the starter next year. I mean, Dante Jackson's got a year left. I think he'll hopefully be healthy in his contract year to be able to perform. I think Rasul Douglas has done an excellent job coming over from Philly. Now he'll have a full offseason with us to come out. I mean, Corn Elder's having probably the best year of his career, finally living up to the player he can be. So, I mean, if you go into the season next year with Dante Jackson, Rasul Douglas, and Corn Elder, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. And I still think, I mean, depends on what kind of defense do you want to be. Do you want to be a heavy zone scheme, keep everything in front of you, let the guy catch it, tackle, bend but don't break type defense? Or do you want guys that can line up, get in the wide receiver's face, take away one side of the field, play man coverage, and allow you to have that flexibility to do more blitzing, play more man coverage, and those kind of things? So it just depends on what direction they want to go with the defensive scheme. I mean, if Phil Stone wants to continue to be, I mean, we are 31st in the league in cover one defense. We only play it 19% of the time.
Jesus.
I mean, that just kind of tells you what the defensive scheme is. If they want to continue to be this heavy zone, soft zone coverage team, I mean, then fine. Keep the guys we have, and I think we can get away with that for another year or two. But, you know, if you want to see that kind of flip a bit and, you know, play more cover one and have a guy that can shadow the DeAndre Hopkins, the Michael Thomases, the Mike Evans, Chris Godwins, and Julio Joneses, I mean, you have to get a guy that can do that has that capability. And I think there's two guys in this draft that can do that. So, I mean, it's another – I mean, what I like about this draft is we got a lot of needs. We got a lot of holes on this roster. I mean, there's really no right or wrong draft pick. I'd be happy with Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain. I'd be happy with Caleb Fairley at cornerback. I'd be happy with Trey Lance at quarterback. I mean, I'd be happy with some offensive tackles that may be on the board as well. But I think I wouldn't be comfortable going into the season with the secondary as is now. I just think you'll see a lot of the same 80% type zone scheme, you know, bend but don't break, giving up those easy completions, not challenging receivers, and not being able to get a pass rush because they have no assistance whatsoever on that back end. So it just depends on what kind of defense do you want to be. And, I mean, if they want to continue to be this heavy zone scheme, then we can keep it as is and just try to move forward and worry about addressing other positions.
Hey, well, I didn't watch much Troy Pride in college, but I did watch a lot of Dante Jackson. I am very familiar with Rasul Douglas. Is it safe to say that we're not even really playing to their strengths? Because from what I always saw at LSU, Dante Jackson was the type of corner that likes to be up in someone's face. He likes to be able to be in the receiver's hip pocket. Now you're kind of forcing him back, you know, making him play off coverage, and that might attribute to some of the struggles that he's having. You know, he's had times throughout the last 3 years where he's been beat man coverage. You remember the one with Antonio Brown, and a few times this year, but I also attribute that to us not having the offseason, guys not being in shape. But if you really look at the strengths and the traits of a player, Dante's one of those guys where I think he benefits from being in man. So you might want to go get another cornerback like him, just bigger, that can get up in someone's face. And I also watched a lot of Corn Elder in college because he played for my foe. Corn is probably the most physical defensive back that we have. So if anything, he wants to be up in someone's face. I think we actually have players to fit that kind of scheme, but we haven't played to their strengths. That's just my opinion. I just wanted your feedback because, again, I'm a trench guy. I'm not fully on the secondary. I just watch what I watch.
Yeah, I look at Dante as a quarterback baiter. He's going to play off coverage, and he's going to use that closing speed to break on the ball and try to bait him and try to get those interceptions that way. If you look at the way he gets a lot of his interceptions, he's trapping the quarterback. The quarterback doesn't think he can get back fast enough or break on the ball quick enough. And then Dante's going to sync up, get up high like the one in the Cardinals last year and take that passing lane away. And I think he did that at LSU as well. He wasn't a boundary corner that's going to play outside and lock up. LSU, he moved around. He played some free safety. He played a lot of nickel. He played a lot of off coverage, and he was able to break on the ball. If you remember, they had guys like Greedy Williams. There was the guy that was going to be on the boundary, locking up, being physical, playing man press consistently. I think Dante, he's small. He's a small guy, so you can't have him up on the line pressing like that because he's not going to win, you know, with playing that hand fighting at the line of scrimmage. He's going to be the guy that's going to play off coverage, the cover 3, cover 4 type guy, and bait quarterbacks and make plays on the ball and zone coverage. I mean, he can play man like maybe a mirror type coverage where he doesn't have to press. It's not all man coverage. Man coverage and press coverage isn't the same thing. Press is an alignment. Man coverage is a technique, is a scheme. So he can play that mirror type man coverage at the line of scrimmage where you don't have to press and be physical. But I still think he's better as that quarterback baiter playing that off coverage and being able to break on the ball and disrupt passing lanes. Russell Douglas, I look at as kind of a corner safety hybrid, great tackler, physical guy. but I don't think he's got the fluidity and athleticism to be a consistent man cover guy himself. And that's similar with Cornell there too. I look at him as a zone guy that's gonna play that flat coverage, be a short tackler, limit yards after catch, make plays on the ball. If you're asking me to step up and lock up slot wide receivers like a Julian Edelman type guys, I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to win those one-on-one matchups. So I do think part of the reason we play so much zone coverage is that we just don't have the guys that can consistently lock up and play man coverage and shadow receivers all across the field. But, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, some teams were very successful playing zone coverage. Look at the 2013 Panthers. They didn't play much man either, and they had the #1 defense in the league. So it depends on what kind of scheme you want to run. Because I don't think defense is bad because we play zone coverage. We're just not playing it properly. Linebackers aren't getting in passing lanes, reading routes fast enough. And, corners are playing too scared to get beat deep and not breaking on those underneath routes to get those breakups. So, it just depends on what kind of scheme they want to run. And we'll find out this spring when they start the draft.
How come Dante Jackson hasn't gotten up with Christian McCaffrey's nutritionist yet?
That's a good question because if y'all noticed the breakout season that both DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel is having, guess who they spent the whole offseason with?
In the mountains.
Before they was up in Colorado getting it in. So, there's something to be said there. But while we're talking on the secondary, and like you, Larry, I'm a trench guy, so I'm learning this secondary on the fly. I probably know the least as far as like techniques and schemes for DBs, but I just from what I'm seeing on film, I wouldn't be opposed to making Dante the nickel and go drafting us an outside corner because, a lot of teams will put their, best wide receiver a lot, motion them into the slot. And, we have a guy that can take advantage there, whereas now, Cornell, so many times he get locked up on the #1 receiver and, he does the best he can, but, you just simply, out talented. I like to see us, run some more down personnel. I would love to see us, just be in a position where we got enough cornerbacks to go 4 cornerbacks, 2 safeties, or however you want to divvy it up. Because I get tired of seeing teams come out in 4 and 5 wide receivers, and I'm still sick of seeing a damn nickel, damn defense. I'm like, I thought that went out with Rivera. So forgive me if it sounds like I'm a Madden head speaking about it, but do we not have enough corners to run 4 cornerbacks out there at one time to, cover up? Apparently not. So I'm just a fan, just making, comments off of what I'm seeing. But I definitely think Dante will have more success if he played more in the slot than he do on the outside.
Hey, Kev, for the last, we can say 20 years, bro. We ain't had no athletes in the secondary. We got them now, though. And if you look at what Matt Rule's philosophy was, isn't it one of the biggest priorities, the athletic profile? If you look at all our position groups, if you go to that DB room, that might be the most athletic room we got besides the receivers. So you got the athletes back there. I'm ready for Matt Rule to show me, okay, you one of these athletic guys, you got them. I don't care what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. Show me how to make them great. That's what you're here for, right?
True. Good. Damn good point.
Yeah. I feel you on that.
When the last time we had 2 corners that ran 4.3 or better? Y'all must have forgot we had old Patrick Tillman, Kurt Coleman, Roman Harper, all them dudes was back there running. Oh, Mike Adams. They was back there running 4.8s, bro. Yeah. We got guys we got guys that got legit 4.4 speed all over the field. So show me how you can take advantage of that.
Quite frankly, it would really make me happy if we can find another prototype like Chin, and have 2 Chins in the safety position. Man, just run a Tampa 2, bro. Just have 2 Chins in the safety position. Just run a Tampa 2 and get a decent Mike linebacker, man. We've got to shore up the center of that field on defense. That's probably our weakest point right now. But yeah. It is what it is.
I get that, but there's one thing we can't complain about that we got to complain about for the last 20 years is, oh, we're not athletic enough back there. We too old back there. We the opposite now. We athletic as fuck and we young as fuck. So
Right.
show me how we can win like that.
Word up. Word up. Well, I'll tell you one way we can win is putting points on the board. Making the opposition one-dimensional. That'll help. That'll help. But, yeah. We got a couple more games left this season, folks, and we'll be able to do some evaluations, and so will you. And we would kindly suggest that you keep your eyes open. There's no telling what's going to happen. But one thing's for sure, we're gonna see these young bucks grow. I'm happy as hell with that we got Chen and Brown and Burns on this roster. And we get the right position coaches in place. These young corners can turn into some dangerous foes for opposing wide receivers. So keep your eyes open for that, folks. No doubt. Guys, have any closing shots? Larry, I know you have the JOB, man. You have any closing shots, bro?
No, I'm good. Just want you guys to keep counting, understand what type of season it is, and always look to see where we can get better and how we can improve on what we've been in the past few years. So notice that culture change, because that's something that I do see, win or lose. The culture in Carolina is changing.
No doubt. Piece of Tepper on that shit. Will, in closing shots?
Just, I think we're going to learn a lot about who wants to be here, when they got nothing to play for, and guys are playing for jobs for next year and showing off, auditioning to see who wants to be on the roster and part of this rebuild long term. So I guess that's what you're pretty much watching for now. So stay tuned.
Dig it, man. Dig it. And Kev.
Well, as always, as I like to do, I always want to thank each and every fan and listener of the 4-Man Rush. We appreciate you guys, and we love your energy and your steady commitment to us. As far as, with this team, I'm just, as stated, it's meaningless football now. Let's see who really wants to buy into this rule restoration. And I just want to look forward to seeing this offensive and defensive lines continue to evolve and put together good consistent effort. So for me, thank the fans, and steady improvement in the trenches was my closing thoughts.
Right on, man. Yeah, shoot. Stay tuned, Panther fans. We still got some football left. This season's not over. Not technically, anyway. From a playoff standpoint, that shit's over. But yeah, hey, be sure to watch the team, man. Yeah, there's some exciting things going on out there, and I know for a fact nobody has seen what Chen has done for this Panther team as a rookie. We've not seen anything like that from a defensive player on this team. No, not like that. Not like that. So we got some special players on this team, man. So if you enjoy football, you're going to enjoy watching this team going forward. I got a good feeling about that. And keep your fingers crossed and your eyes open. We're going to keep pounding. So, on behalf of the 4-Man Rush, we would like to thank you guys for checking out the podcast once again. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. If you haven't subscribed to one of our to our podcast on one of these platforms, please do. And stick with us. We have a ton of information, and some very intelligent, football savvy individuals that are a part of the 4-Man Rush. Just check out the content and you'll see what I'm talking about. Dig it? Right on. So if you listen to this podcast in the morning, afternoon, and evening, we wish you guys all the best. Wash your hands. Keep your hands away from your face. This COVID shit is killing people. Just stop playing games. Seriously. Stop playing games. We'd like to see you guys around. Dig it? Right on. So y'all have a great night. Pet your cat. Brush your teeth. Take your kids and shut their mouth and do the work. And as always, keep pounding. And that's a clear.
Is that number 5?
That is 76.
6?
I think.
Okay.
Greg Hardy.
Yeah. It's the Greg Hardy episode.
But really, I'm just taking time to really let it breathe. So baby, just chill. Yeah. She love it. We out in public and we can just chill with my partners, and we can go back to my crib and just chill under covers. And do we call me and you lovers? Cause
The Four-Man Rush is brought to you by the love and respect of and for the Carolina Panthers and Carolina Panther fans everywhere. Keep pounding. The Four-Man Rush is a non-affiliate of the Carolina Panther organization. All thoughts, assessments, and content of this podcast is directly related to the Four-Man Rush exclusively. Thank you.